Complete audio summary of The Giver by Lois Lowry. First published April 26, 1993. Warning, spoilers ahead. Read to you at Book Nook. The Giver is a dystopian novel written by Lois Lowry, an acclaimed American author known for her thought-provoking works of literature for young readers. Published in 1993, the novel quickly gained critical and commercial success, winning the prestigious Newbery Medal in 1994. It became one of the most influential books in the genre of young adult dystopian fiction, praised for its exploration of memory, freedom, individuality, and the consequences of a highly controlled society. Lowry, who had already won a Newbery Medal for her historical novel Number the Stars, 1990, was inspired to write The Giver by her personal experiences and observations about memory and human nature. The book sparked discussions in classrooms and literary circles worldwide due to its deep themes and ambiguous ending. Despite being frequently challenged and even banned in some schools for its mature themes, The Giver remains a staple in literature curricula. It has been adapted into a 2014 film, stage plays, and even an opera. Over the years, it has influenced countless other dystopian works, solidifying its place as a modern classic in young adult literature. Let's begin. Jonas lives in a seemingly perfect society, a world where there is no pain, no suffering, no war, and no hunger. Everything is meticulously planned, and the community functions with an almost mechanical precision, ensuring that every individual has their place, their role, and their purpose. Jonas is 11 years old, on the cusp of turning 12, and in his structured world, the ceremony of 12 is one of the most important moments in a person's life. It is at this ceremony that every child is assigned their lifelong occupation, determined by the elders, who have been carefully observing them since birth. As Jonas approaches his 12th birthday, he begins to experience a mixture of excitement and anxiety. He does not know what job he will be assigned, though he trusts that the elders will have made the right choice. His family, like all others in the community, is structured not by blood relation but by assignment. He has a mother and father, chosen for each other by the elders, and a younger sister, Lily, who is 7 years old. Each evening, at dinner, they engage in the ritual of sharing their feelings from the day, a practice that is supposed to keep emotions in check and ensure harmony. Jonas listens as his father, who works as a nurturer, speaks about a newborn he is concerned about, a baby named Gabriel, who is not developing as quickly as the others. Jonas's father, though following strict societal rules, bends them slightly by bringing Gabriel home at night to give him extra care in hopes that he will improve and not have to be released, a term Jonas does not yet fully understand. Jonas's mother, who works in the Department of Justice, speaks about a repeat offender who will soon be released, and Lily complains about an argument she had with another child. Jonas shares that he felt apprehensive about the upcoming ceremony of 12, though he corrects himself. Apprehensive is not quite the right word, but it is close enough to convey his unease. Language precision is a critical part of life in the community. From an early age, children are taught to express themselves with absolute accuracy. Any deviation from this, or any mistake in speech, is corrected immediately. As the ceremony of 12 approaches, Jonas reflects on his closest friends. Asher, his best friend, is a cheerful and often clumsy boy who frequently misuses words, much to the frustration of the instructors. Fiona, another of his friends, is gentle and kind, particularly drawn to caring for the elderly. Jonas wonders what assignments they will receive, and whether they will still be as close after their roles are determined. Before the ceremony, Jonas's father reveals that he secretly peeked at the naming list and found out that Gabriel, the struggling infant, has been given a name. This is a rare and technically forbidden action, but it is done out of affection. Jonas is also curious about the concept of release. He knows that the elderly are released when they grow too old, and that sometimes new children, like Gabriel, are released if they fail to meet developmental milestones. However, the full implications of release are not something he has considered deeply. The ceremony of 12 finally arrives, spanning 2 days of structured rituals where children of each age group are acknowledged before the final stage. Jonas watches as the younger children go through their assigned rites, noting how the community's careful planning ensures everything runs smoothly. Each child receives an item or privilege appropriate to their age, from comfort objects to new clothing, bicycles, and eventually assignments. When it is finally time for the 12s to receive their assignments, the chief elder begins calling each name, announcing the carefully chosen job that will define the child's life. Asher is assigned to be Assistant Director of Recreation, which seems fitting given his playful personality. Fiona is given a role in the House of the Old, which aligns with her natural gentleness. Jonas eagerly waits for his turn, but something unexpected happens. His number is skipped. The entire community notices, and an uneasy silence falls over the crowd. This is an unprecedented event. No one is ever forgotten in the careful order of things, and Jonas feels a rising sense of dread. Did he do something wrong? Was he somehow overlooked? Finally, after all the other 12s have received their assignments, the chief elder addresses the crowd, explaining that Jonas has not been assigned an ordinary role. Instead, he has been selected, a rare and honorable distinction. He has been chosen to become the next receiver of memory, a prestigious yet mysterious position that only one person in the entire community holds at a time. The current receiver, an elderly man with a beard and striking pale eyes that Jonas himself shares, watches him closely. The chief elder explains that the receiver must have several qualities: intelligence, integrity, courage, and the ability to acquire wisdom. Most importantly, he must possess the capacity to see beyond, a vague and puzzling trait that Jonas does not immediately understand. She acknowledges that Jonas may feel afraid, as his training will involve great pain, unlike anything he has ever known. The crowd murmurs in awe. Pain is something largely foreign to them, and the idea of someone experiencing it voluntarily is almost unthinkable. As Jonas walks home from the ceremony, his parents express their pride but also hint at the solemn responsibility that now rests upon his shoulders. They cannot provide much guidance, as the role of the receiver is shrouded in secrecy. Jonas wonders about the implications of his selection. What does it mean to hold the memories of the past? Why must they be contained by only one person? What kind of pain is he expected to endure? That night, as Jonas lies in bed, he recalls a strange incident he experienced earlier. He had been playing catch with Asher, tossing an apple back and forth, when he noticed something peculiar about it. For a brief moment, the apple seemed to change, though he could not explain how. It was still an apple, but there was something different about it, something intangible yet undeniable. Now, reflecting on the chief elder's words about seeing beyond, he wonders if this unexplained event was a sign of his unique ability. The next day, Jonas reports for his first training session at the Annex, a separate, secluded building behind the House of the Old. Unlike the rest of the community, which is designed with uniformity in mind, the Annex has a sense of richness and individuality. The furniture is luxurious. The walls are lined with books, real books, far more than the few standardized instruction books every family unit has. The current receiver, now referred to as the giver, greets Jonas with a mixture of warmth and solemnity. He tells Jonas that the memories of the entire world, its history, its emotions, its experiences, are held within him, and that his job is to pass them down to Jonas. Jonas is confused. He has always believed that the community is complete, that nothing outside of it exists. But the giver tells him otherwise. The world was different before, full of color, depth, and emotion. It had love, joy, but also suffering and pain. Long ago, society chose to erase those things in order to create harmony, eliminating unpredictability and conflict. The receiver's job is to hold all those memories so that no one else has to experience them, so that the community can remain protected from the burdens of the past. Jonas's training begins, and the giver instructs him to lie down on a bed. Placing his hands on Jonas's back, the giver transmits his first memory. It is something Jonas has never felt before: the exhilarating sensation of riding down a snowy hill on a sled. The cold air stings his face, but he is filled with wonder and joy. He experiences true exhilaration for the first time in his life. As the memory fades, Jonas opens his eyes in amazement. He had no idea such things had ever existed. Snow, hills, sleds, none of them are part of his world. Climate control had been implemented long ago, removing weather variations to ensure efficiency. The landscape had been flattened for easy transportation. The giver explains that this is just the beginning. There is so much more to learn, to feel, to remember. And with it, there will also come pain. Jonas's training continues under the giver's guidance, and each day, he experiences more memories of the past, gaining knowledge that has been hidden from the rest of the community. At first, the memories are beautiful and exhilarating. He feels the warmth of sunlight on his skin, the rush of sledding down a snowy hill, the joy of celebrating a birthday where a child is the center of attention. He learns of animals, a concept entirely foreign to him, and experiences the comfort of a loving family, something far deeper than the structured family unit he has always known. With each new memory, Jonas realizes how limited his understanding of the world has been. However, as the giver warned, there is also pain. Jonas receives memories of suffering, a sunburn that stings unbearably, the hunger of a starving people, the agony of a wounded soldier left to die on a battlefield. These experiences overwhelm Jonas, making him realize that his community has sacrificed not only pain, but also the richness of true emotion. He begins to understand the deep cost of sameness, the policy that eliminated diversity and unpredictability in order to maintain peace and order. He learns that the community has no colors, no real feelings, and no depth. Love, passion, and even simple joys have all been erased. The more memories Jonas receives, the more he begins to feel isolated from his friends and family. He notices how shallow their conversations are and how devoid of true emotions they seem to be. His relationship with Asher, once easy and carefree, becomes strained. Asher cannot understand Jonas's newfound depth, and Jonas cannot explain it. The same happens with Fiona. He realizes that she has been conditioned to follow the community's rules unquestioningly, and even though he is developing real feelings for her, she cannot reciprocate them in the way he now understands love to be. He tries to share his thoughts with his parents, but they do not understand. When he asks if they love him, they correct him, explaining that the word love is imprecise and obsolete. One day, the giver gives Jonas a memory of true love, a warm, cozy home filled with laughter, where grandparents sit by a fire, surrounded by family. This memory leaves Jonas with a deep ache. In his world, grandparents do not exist. The elderly are sent to the house of the old and then eventually released, a term Jonas now begins to question more seriously. He wonders what release truly means. The giver remains vague, but Jonas senses there is something terrible about it. Jonas begins to rebel internally against the way things are. He starts to see color more vividly, realizing that the world once had vibrant reds, blues, and greens, but the community has eliminated them. People no longer have choices. Everything is controlled to ensure safety and stability, but at what cost? Jonas becomes increasingly frustrated that no one else can see what he sees or feel what he feels. He is carrying the burden of knowledge alone, and the weight of it is suffocating. His breaking point comes when he witnesses his father performing a release. Jonas had always believed release meant sending someone to another place, perhaps another community. But when the giver allows him to watch a recorded video of a release, he sees the horrifying truth. His father, smiling and gentle as always, injects a newborn twin with a lethal substance and watches as the baby dies. The body is casually discarded, and the act is performed with the same routine efficiency as any other community task. Jonas is horrified. His father does not see it as murder. No one does. Death has been normalized, stripped of its emotional weight. Jonas is overwhelmed with grief, rage, and a deep sense of betrayal. He realizes that everything he has known is built on lies. The community has erased not only pain but also morality. They have created a world where people unknowingly commit atrocities because they feel nothing. The giver explains that this is why there must always be a receiver, someone who remembers, someone who understands the true nature of existence. But Jonas does not want to simply remember. He wants to act. Jonas and the giver begin to discuss a plan. The giver, despite his age and experience, has grown weary of the burden of memory. He tells Jonas that things were different once, that there was another receiver before him. She was a girl named Rosemary, chosen to receive the memories just as Jonas has been. But when she was given memories of pain, loss, loneliness, suffering, she could not bear them. Overcome with sorrow, she requested release, and because no one in the community questioned such requests, she was euthanized. Her memories were then dispersed back into the community, causing widespread confusion and emotional distress for a time. It was then that the elders realized the receiver must never be allowed to fail again. Jonas understands that he cannot stay in the community any longer. The memories he holds must be returned to the people so they can understand what has been taken from them. But the only way to do this is for him to leave, permanently. If he escapes, the memories will be released into the minds of everyone in the community, forcing them to experience emotions and truth for the first time. The giver agrees to help him, knowing that this may be the only way to bring change. Together, they devise a plan. Jonas will escape beyond the boundaries of the community into the unknown, into what is called elsewhere. The giver will stay behind to help the people cope with the influx of memories. But before they can put their plan into motion, an unexpected event forces Jonas to act sooner than expected. Gabriel, the infant his father has been caring for, has been labeled as unfit for the community. He is scheduled to be released the next morning. Jonas cannot let this happen. He knows now that release means death. Without waiting for the giver's assistance, Jonas takes Gabriel in the dead of night, stealing his father's bicycle to make his escape. The community, realizing his absence, begins an immediate search. Jonas rides as fast as he can, pushing forward into an unfamiliar world, holding Gabriel tightly, determined to save him and, in doing so, bring the truth back to the people he has left behind. Jonas pedals furiously through the darkness, Gabriel clutched tightly against his chest. The stolen bicycle rattles beneath them as he speeds away from the only life he has ever known, away from the cold, controlled security of the community, and into the vast unknown. Behind him, search planes hum through the air, scanning the ground below with heat-seeking technology. Jonas knows that if they find him, he will be captured, returned, and possibly even released. He pushes the thought from his mind and focuses on moving forward. He must keep going. Gabriel's small body is warm against him, but Jonas can feel the baby's breath growing shallower, his tiny limbs shivering against the cold night air. Jonas uses every bit of knowledge he has gained from the giver to survive. He rides only at night, keeping to the shadows, hiding among the trees and low-lying brush during the day to avoid detection. As he rides, the terrain gradually begins to change. The uniform, neatly arranged landscape of the community fades behind him, giving way to wilder, more unpredictable terrain. The road grows rougher, the hills steeper. Jonas sees animals, real animals, for the first time, creatures he only knows from the memories the giver shared with him. A deer moves through the underbrush, and birds soar overhead, their songs filling the air with unfamiliar yet beautiful sounds. Everything is different here. Everything is alive. Gabriel grows weaker as the journey drags on. Jonas knows the infant is hungry, and though he has rationed the small amount of food he managed to take with him, it is not enough. His stomach aches with hunger, and his limbs grow heavy, but he refuses to stop. He presses on, remembering the memories the giver passed to him. Memories of strength, resilience, survival. He remembers the warmth of a fire, the taste of food, the safety of shelter. He clings to these images, drawing strength from them, willing himself to find those things in reality. Days pass. Jonas loses count of how long he has been traveling. The search planes stop coming, and he knows he has gone beyond the community's reach. But the further he goes, the harder the journey becomes. Rain soaks through his thin clothing, and the cold bites at his skin. His legs tremble with exhaustion. Gabriel whimpers weakly in his arms, his cries growing fainter. Jonas tries to soothe him, murmuring softly, wrapping him as tightly as he can in the scraps of cloth he has left. He begins to feel hopeless, the crushing weight of his decision pressing down on him. Did he make a mistake? Was this all for nothing? He refuses to believe it. He must believe there is something ahead. One night, as Jonas trudges through the deep snow, his limbs numb with cold, he begins to see something. At first, just a shadow on the horizon, but then more distinct. A hill. Something about it seems familiar, though he does not know why. He recognizes it not from his own experience, but from a memory. The sled. The snow-covered hill. The feeling of flying through the air, the wind whipping against his face. It is the same hill from the very first memory the giver gave him. Jonas's heart pounds. He knows he is close. With the last of his strength, Jonas climbs the hill, each step harder than the last. The wind howls around him, and the snow stings his face, but he keeps going. Gabriel is silent now, his tiny body barely moving. Jonas shields him as best he can, whispering words of comfort even as his own strength fades. Finally, he reaches the top, and there, just as in the memory, a sled waits for him. Jonas does not question how or why the sled is there. He knows, somehow, that it is meant for him. With trembling hands, he settles Gabriel against his chest and grips the sled's handles. Then, pushing off with what little energy he has left, he begins to descend. The sled glides effortlessly down the hill, the cold air rushing past them. Jonas feels the sensation he remembers so well: speed, exhilaration, freedom. The ache in his body fades. The exhaustion slips away. He and Gabriel are flying. As they reach the bottom of the hill, Jonas sees something in the distance: lights. Twinkling, glowing, warm. Houses. Not the identical, sterile dwellings of the community, but real homes, filled with color and warmth. He hears music drifting through the air, a sound so beautiful it brings tears to his eyes. He recognizes it from a memory, music, but this time, it is real. It is not something given to him. It is something he has found. Jonas knows they have arrived. He and Gabriel have made it. The place he has always dreamed of, the place he knew had to exist, is real. As he approaches the houses, he holds Gabriel close and whispers to him, "We're home." The end. The ending of The Giver is deliberately ambiguous, leaving readers to interpret Jonas's fate in multiple ways. As he reaches the sled and glides down the snowy hill, he sees lights, hears music, and feels warmth. Elements that starkly contrast the cold, controlled existence of the community he left behind. This could symbolize his arrival at a real place, a society that retains the richness of human experience, where love, music, and freedom still exist. It represents hope, the fulfillment of his journey, and the possibility of a new beginning. However, another interpretation suggests that Jonas, weakened by hunger and exposure, is hallucinating in his final moments. The sled, the lights, and the music may be a memory resurfacing, a comforting vision his mind provides as he succumbs to the cold. If this is the case, Jonas and Gabriel may not have truly reached safety, but rather a peaceful end. The novel's open-ended conclusion allows readers to decide. Has Jonas truly escaped into a better world? Or is his journey symbolic, reflecting the universal human longing for warmth, love, and true freedom? Regardless of the interpretation, the ending challenges the reader to question the cost of a controlled society and the value of emotions, memories, and individuality. I hope you have enjoyed this summary. If you liked it, please subscribe so I can keep uploading even more books. Also, giving me a like helps a lot. If you would like me to summarize any specific book, please write me it in the comments.